What is up, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Welcome to a video I know a lot of you have been waiting for. Unfortunately, it's not quite what you're expecting. We do have the Zontes 368G on the channel. It just came in yesterday evening. I'm so eager to film it that I grabbed the first one that was assembled. Actually, I assembled it myself and put it in front of the camera for all of you guys to see. Unfortunately, we are not gonna be riding this thing. This is a customer unit. It's gonna be probably delivered later today or tomorrow, and it doesn't have any registration. Plus, I do not have any kind of permission from the client to ride it around. So I just pulled it out in the yard. I'm gonna film it for you guys. We're gonna go through all the details as we usually do, from front wheel to back wheel, and see exactly what's what with this thing, and then it's going straight back into the warehouse awaiting for its rightful owner. So starting out at the front, we're gonna firstly take a look at the windscreen. It's a medium-sized windscreen. It's not all that big. As you can see, it doesn't even go, it barely goes to the level of the mirrors, but it's an adjustable windscreen. Unfortunately, unlike any other Zontes that has come before, the windscreen is not electrically adjustable. There just wasn't place on the handlebar for an adjustable button, and I don't think they were able to fit a motor inside. But the adjustment is quite simple. You rotate these, one on each side, and now the windscreen is free. You can leave it in this freestanding form, and you grab it, and you can shift it up, and you can easily go down. It has notches. You can adjust it from its lowest position to its highest position, and then you push and twist and you lock it into place. And now it's kind of at a right angle. It's probably gonna have a little bit of aerodynamic drag in this position, might slow this thing down a little bit, but it's also going to throw all the air right over the rider. I am gonna test this out when I ride one on the open road, hopefully very soon. At the moment, there are no plans to put one in the test fleet, but maybe somebody will lend me one. But as it looks right now, the windscreen looks kind of ugly in this position, but it does the job. And if you want it to look pretty, just drop it down, lock it into place. And you can do that even from this side when you're on the scoot. And now it looks great. Moving on down a little bit, we have the front fairing here, which is held on by two plastic rivets right here, and easily removable, so you can get access to the battery. The battery is right here in the nose, as is on my 350E. We have our headlights. Everything is full LED on this scooter. So we have our daytime running lights right here. We have two projectors on each side for a total of 4. 2 of them are for the low beam and 2 of them are for the high beam. With the scooter off, you can't see them on, but I can give you like a bit of a flash, as you can see. In terms of lighting, we have 2 projector headlights mounted on the crash bars, and they are wired up to a button on the handlebar, so you can switch them on and off whenever you wish. Wrapping the nose is the crash bar. It's a pretty strong, solid crash bar. It is mounted here. I think it's in the frame. Yes, it's mounted here in the middle in the frame, and running down the side, it also has another 2 mounting points on the side, again straight into the frame. This should help out in case you drop it when you are off-roading, so I'm really happy to see that. A lot of scooters have crash bars mounted, but usually they are mounted to the plastic fairing, so when you drop it, you just break plastic. But this thing seems, I haven't taken it apart, but it seems like it's mounted straight to the frame, and that should help with protecting your plastic. Also in the nose, we have the front camera right here, because this thing has a digital video recorder, front camera and back camera, and you can see the image on the dashboard. Moving on down to the suspension and wheel part, we have a 41mm upside down fork with 154mm of suspension travel. We have a 300mm brake disc up front. It's a single brake disc. The rotor is a floating rotor style, and I have the same setup on my 350E, and honestly, it works a treat. The brakes are good enough for 40 horsepower, even though it is just one single brake disc. You have to put a little bit extra force on the lever, but they will stop you dead. Behind the front wheel, we have the horn right here and the big ass radiator for the 368cc engine. We are gonna get to the engine and its power output, but the radiator is big enough that it should handle all of its heat output even when you're doing pretty rough off-road. And I like to see that it is covered by a plastic shroud, so it protects it from rocks being thrown by the front wheel, and also the front mud guard goes all the way back to, again, protect this part of the scooter. In terms of front wheel, this is where it gets very interesting, because this scooter has a 17-inch front wheel and it is radially spoked. That means that we do have a spoked rim, but we have a tubeless tire. And the tires are pretty off-road oriented. They're kind of like a 70% on-road, 30% off-road. You can get more aggressive tires for this size. The front tire size is 110 mil by 70 by 17. Now, moving down the side of the scooter, we have our big 17.5-liter fuel tank right here, which should give us about 400 kilometers of range for this engine. We have our running boards right here. We also see the crash bar that wraps around the running board, so in case you drop it, it protects this entire part of the scooter. We do have a slider here on the crash bar. We can see the wire for the projectors is neatly tucked, and it's strapped to the crash bar, and it goes right in here into the frame, so it doesn't get damaged in case of a fall. It's mounted on the back of the crash bar. For the fuel tank, to access the fuel tank, you do have to have the ignition close by, and you just pull this up and open it. That's it. If the key is not nearby, this will not work. So it will rise only to this point and then stop. Also, a very interesting thing for the 368G, and I love to see this from Zontes, they have given you passenger foot pegs, as is normal, but also rider foot pegs. So in case you're not comfortable standing up with your feet right here, with your heel you can just kick it out, and you can stand right here and ride this thing off-road standing. I know that for something like the Honda X80 V750, you can get foot pegs like this as an optional extra. What I love to see here is Zontes including them standard with the mount already welded into the frame, so there's no accessories, extra money needed to have off-road foot pegs. Now, in terms of engine, we have a 368cc single-cylinder liquid-cooled engine putting out about 39 horsepower and 40 newton meters of torque. It is coupled to a normal regular CVT transmission. It's actually the same transmission as on the 350 engines, the same variator belt and everything, and roller weights and everything. But the engine has just a little bit more power than the 350 does. It's an evolution of said engine. It is a Euro 5 Plus compliant engine. We can see one of the O2 sensors right here. We have our oil dipstick right here. The oil filter is on the other side. We have this very interesting exhaust that is raised up compared to other scooters, just so you can have better ground clearance when you're off-roading. If you're going like next to rocks or on a riverbed, usually the low-hanging exhaust would get hit by rocks, would get pummeled by rocks, but not in this case. They lifted it up completely and yet moved it a little bit back, so even the passenger that has his legs right here isn't gonna get a lot of heat from the exhaust, and there's no chance of him or her burning her legs or his legs. Moving around to the back, we have these grab handles for the passenger. You can also mount a luggage rack right back here. We have the tail lights, which have this stripe design, and it's very, very cool looking. And we have our turn signal indicators right here. Let me show you how everything looks. So the turn signal indicators are normal LED as they are on the front, just flashing style. We have our rear lights here, and if we brake, it just changes the intensity. Also on the back, above this tail, which will protect it from all the mud and road grime thrown by the wheel, we have our rear camera. It is nicely mounted here, hidden, protected. As you ride, it shouldn't get grime on it and film all of the knuckleheads behind you that are putting your life at risk and playing on their phones instead of paying attention to the road and might rear-end you. So you can have all kinds of proof for your insurance claim. Moving on down a little bit, we see the interesting design on the exhaust exit. I really like it. It is a single exit exhaust. We have our 14-inch rear wheel with the tire size 150 mil by 70 by 14. It's a 14-inch rear rim. Also spoked, but also radially spoked. So once again, we have a tubeless tire on the back. Stock tires that come on this thing are CST tires. Suspension, rear suspension. We have adjustable suspension for preload, but these are gas struts. They don't have oil in them. They are gas struts with remote reservoirs on the side here. Rear suspension travel is 114 millimeters. We have a rear brake disc with an unbranded caliper. Again, it's the same braking system as on my 350, and I can tell you I had no issues with my Scoot. The brakes are good enough. The pads don't wear out all that quickly, but depends how hard you're riding the thing. Now, coming around to the left-hand side of the scooter, we have our air filter right here, easily accessible. So in case you get, I don't know, water, dirt, grime in it, and you want to clean it out on an off-road stint, it's easy to get to. We have our transmission cover. In here we have our variator and our clutch and our CVT belt, again, easily accessible. We have our oil filter right here. It might seem a little bit exposed, but it does have some under protection right here. So plus it is pretty high up, and it should get a little bit of protection from the side stand and the center stand. Coming to the stands, we do have a center stand and we do have a side stand as standard. And again, on the left hand side, both foot pegs for passenger and for rider. Now let's take a look at the underseat storage. We just press the button on the handlebar, the lid pops up, and we have a very big underseat storage space right here. It is big enough for a full face helmet, and also a big storage space right here. It seems like you could actually fit two full face helmets, decent sized full face helmets underneath. Also, we have the accessory box right here. So this is a strap to get the key, the wireless key on your hand. Wear it as a wristband. We have our little set of tools. We have our 368G user manual. We have a vanity plate. We have one oil filter for the first oil change, and we also have a charger for a trickle charger for when you leave the scooter, I don't know, over the winter and you don't use it. Let's put all of these back. These mustn't go missing. We do have a separator here for the storage space. I really love to see this, and I use it on my 350 a lot. We have a light right there. And we also have a USB port right here, which has a USB-C and a USB-A. There are also a few more USB ports on the front of the Scoot right next to the handlebars, but we'll take a look at those in a little bit. In terms of seat design, we do have a gel seat with some fake stitching around here. It is pretty flat, which should be comfortable on the long haul. For the rider, we also get lumbar support right here. This hard metal part that says ADV on it, you don't feel it when you sit on it. And also moving on back for the passenger, we do have quite a big seating surface for the passenger, and also both grab handles right here, so the pillion can be comfortable here on the back. Looking at the fuel door, like I've said, it is a beautifully designed fuel door and an interesting new system from Zontes. No longer do you press a button on the handlebar to open it up. If the key is nearby, you just flip this up and you open it and you gain access to your 17.5-liter fuel tank. Now, moving to the handlebar part, and this is what the rider sees. First of all, we have the wing mirrors right here, which is a new design. We also, let's see if I can show you guys, we also have, come on, focus, these hand guards right here, which have a metal support here, but are plastic in the middle, so don't think of them as proper bark busters that will hold out in case of a fall. This will give you wind protection, but that's about it. Now, let's move to the controls. On the right hand side, as the unit comes brand new, these are the two wireless keys that you can use to operate the scooter. Let's put them back here. We have our kill switch right here. We have our eco and sport mode toggle switch. I honestly recommend everyone keep it in sport mode, because in eco mode all that it does is pull out a little bit of timing to try to make this thing use a little bit less fuel. In my experience, the engine runs a lot better and a lot smoother when it's in sport mode. We have our engine start button right here. We have our control for our heated grips right here, about 5 levels of heated grips. We have our ignition switch. We have our traction control toggle button, and we have our seat popper. The handlebar, as you can see, is completely exposed and looks very, very beautiful with this black anodized finish. We have our reservoirs, our brake reservoirs, one for the front one for the rear one, and you can easily see your brake level. On the front also, you can probably see here the forks extend all the way up to the handlebar, so it does have a triple tree, and also you can adjust compression and rebound. So it has an adjustable front fork, so you can set it up. It has adjustable rear suspension, it also has adjustable front suspension. Also below the handlebar we have a luggage hook that can easily be folded out or folded back in, so it's hidden and goes well with the lines of the scooter. Moving on to the left hand side, let me see if I can show you this. We have a parking brake right here where you pull on the brake and you lock it in place. So it is a parking brake right here. Put you back. We also have our passing light here on the back. We can flash the brights. We have our high and low beam. We have our hazard lights, turn signal indicators, horn. We also have our button for the auxiliary lights and our set and mode button to operate the screen. And talking about the screen, let's get you in for the close-up. There we go. Grassroots reporting. So in terms of screen, we have a 7-inch tablet. It does have different interfaces that you can choose. This is the standard one that it comes, and I love it. It's the same as on my 350e. We do have our ref counter right here, our fuel gauge right here, our speedometer. We have our engine temperature, our voltage, our fuel range, our tire pressure monitoring system with front tire and rear tire, and our odometer right here. Then if we press the mode button once, we get our trip meter, our average speed, and our average fuel consumption. On the side we have all kinds of vignette lights. This is showing us the cameras are recording. This is the ABS light. This is the oil pressure light, engine check engine, and TPMS warning. Here we have an indication if it's in sport mode or in eco mode, and here we have a clock. And now let's go into the menus. We hold set for a little bit. We go into the menus. First menu, settings. We got in settings. We have manual settings. Let's see, manual settings for the clock or self-calibration. Quickly go through because the clock is properly set up. We also get our Bluetooth connectivity with our phone. We can switch from kilometers to miles an hour. We can choose our language, and we can adjust the brightness. Let's go back. We have our interface. You can choose from here all kinds of different interfaces. This is also connection to your phone through the Zontes app. And this is basically the different dash designs that you can have. Let's go out. Next one, information. This gives us information about the scooter. So we do have, if we have ECU error, PKE error, PKE is the wireless, the keyless system, ABS error, TPMS, it's currently showing that our tire pressures are, the front wheel is a little bit low. Maintenance interval, digital video recorder error, and the version of the software. We can also reset our distance before maintenance. And here we have our TPMS sensor and all the settings we can do to it, like change from PSI to atmospheres to kilopascals and stuff like that. Next, we have our digital video recorder. We can start and stop recording and delete all the videos and photos. We can view our front and rear camera, and we can view playback footage that has been recorded on the device. And if I show you the front camera, or let's see, front camera, there it is. Now you can probably see me on the screen as I'm trying to do a video as this camera is filming me and showing me on that screen that is being filmed by another camera. How about that for filmingception? Now let's hold, I think it's the set button. We also get the date and time registered here on the cameras. Set button long. No, mode button long. And you can, of course, you can see the rear camera, use it as a rear view mirror. And here we can have video playback from the memory card. Next, ride controls. Let's go into ride controls. You can turn on front and rear ABS. It's currently on, but you can also turn off the rear ABS only. So you can run this thing in off-road mode with your traction control off and your rear ABS turned off. Only ABS left is on the front, and I love to see that. For an off-road capable machine, it's normal for it to have switchable ABS. And that's about it for the menu. Also, if we look on a little bit down, hopefully you can see here, but here right under the dash we have this little flap, and inside of it we have another USB-A and another USB-C port. Also on the left hand side of the scooter we have a little cubby hole here, and you might be wondering how to get in it. Word of warning, this is not a lockable cubby hole, but right here on the inside of the fairing you have a latch. You open it, you have, let's see if we have space for a Samsung S23 Ultra. Yep, fits in nicely. And also, once again, we have a USB port, a USB-A and a USB-C plug right here. So this means this scooter has 3 USB-As and 3 USB-C for a total of 6 charging ports standard on this thing. And a word of warning, because this latch is plastic, when you want to close this door, you might think it's a little bit difficult. Push it in, one click, second click, and that's how easy it is to close. And now for the usual general specs of the scooter. Like I've said, the engine is about 39 horsepower, the fuel tank is about 17.5 liters. Seat height, 790 millimeters. It is a pretty tall seat height. I am 175 centimeters tall. I can ride it, I fit on it, but let's get it off the center stand and I'll show you or actually no, sorry. Let's get into the riding position. First of all, getting on the thing, on the center stand, we have your regular scooter riding position. We have room to extend our legs. We can even go as high as putting our legs on the crash bars. It is a very comfortable position. The handlebar is in a nice place. I have the windscreen right in front of me. I have the mirrors, which are pretty high up, but they give good visibility. The handlebar is nice and wide for control when you're off-roading, where you're going off the beaten track. And also, we can open up the foot pegs. And like I've said, if you're not comfortable in this riding position, you can move your legs back, and you can get into a different riding position. Actually, you can even sit on your backrest. And this is an interesting riding position. So on the open road, you have all kinds of options to put your legs wherever you want. There's so much room on this thing, it's uncanny. In terms of seat, the seat is nice and wide, giving full support even for my fat ass. The back support is in a very nice position. It is a little bit on the hard side, but I think this is gonna wear down very well and get very comfortable, and the gel is gonna take to the form of the rider. So I'm not gonna knock it just yet for that. In terms of reaching the ground, this is the big one. It is pretty wide, but let's close the foot pegs. Let's get it off. There we go. We're off the center stand, and now I am holding the scoot. Weight is about 187 kilograms. With fuel and everything, it's about 200 kilograms. It doesn't feel heavy. Weight is down low, and I can easily handle it, even if this is as good as I get in terms of reaching the ground. So if you're 180, 185, you're gonna reach the ground perfectly. If you're 175, you better have a little bit of experience to handle this thing. If you're 170 or 165, you might have issues. Just saying, you might have issues. But yeah, that's it for the Zontes 368G. It's a wonderful machine. It's a wonderful scooter. This is all I can say about it. When just looking at it, it looks and feels extremely high quality and extremely premium. It is a looker. It is gonna turn heads wherever you go. But for now, unfortunately, like I said, I gotta put this thing back in the warehouse, and I'm gonna wait my turn to ride one of these things, and as soon as I do, I'm gonna report back to you. I'm gonna give you a bit of an engine note. Let's start it up. The engine sounds similar to the 350. If you've listened to a 350cc or a 310 from Zontes, it sounds basically the same. As you can see, it is so new, it is still burning off the assembly lube from when the engine was built. But yeah, this has been the video on the Zontes 368G, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. And get subscribed if you want to see riding videos and road trips with not this particular unit, but a similar unit to this one, hopefully very soon. Until next time, take care out there everyone, and ride safe. Bye!